What's going on, guys? Joey here, and I'm going to be breaking down the 10-game NBA main slate for today, Wednesday, on DraftKings. So when we look back at yesterday, it didn't go out as planned. So at first, I was looking at fully stacking that Pelicans 76ers game, kind of backed out a little bit at the end. I had three of the players in that game. Originally, I was looking at having about 4 or 5 of them in there, but then De'Aaron Fox got rolled out, so I put in Halliburton and Davis and awkwardly got in Harrison Barnes just with the salary, and I think that game came about an hour after. So, I ended up dropping 3 of them in there. And, Terrence Davis got hurt, Halliburton sucked, and so did Harrison Barnes. Patty Mills was underwhelming last night for Brooklyn, basically let James Harden do everything. And then we've got Derek White, who in a 134-point game for the Spurs. He only scored 16, so that's great. And then Herb Jones, thankfully, was good. Joel Embiid was great, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker were great. 3 out of what? 8? Yeah, so that's fun. So, tonight, let's break down tonight's game. So, first, we've got Milwaukee at Cleveland. Not a big fan of this game. Could see it being a blowout. Giannis is questionable. If Giannis is in, I could see just playing him. If he's out, I could see playing Chris Middleton. I think he is a great option anytime Giannis is out. So, those would be the 2 I like on Cleveland's side. Probably wouldn't go to anything. Let's see, Darius Garland. I don't even know if I would like Darius Garland. So, I would say Giannis if he's out, Chris Middleton, or else pass. Then we go to the Hornets and Pacers. So for this game, I like Karis LeVert again, even after somewhat getting burned. 38 points for, 8,700. You expect more out of that. So I got burnt on him the other night. But I think with all those other guys out, he's another good play. And then from there, on the Pacers side, kind of got to wait to see the starting lineup. But I could see maybe Goga or Duarte. They both were kind of underwhelming for that price last game. Scored both under 30 points, I believe. And they could have a bounce-back game. So those are possible options. In the 6,000s, that might be the reason why I stay away. But they're definitely considerable. And then whoever else is in that starting lineup is a possible option. Where's he at? What did Jeremy Lamb do last game? Yeah, he did nothing. So Jeremy Lamb... and then Justin Holiday. Okay, so based on the starting lineup, there's value in there. For the Hornets, I'd prefer Rozier over Ball. Rozier started hotter than Ball. Ball finished better, but they both had kind of somewhat off games, especially for their prices. But I would prefer Rozier. And other than that, that would be it. So just Terry Rozier for the Hornets. And then for the Clippers and Magic, don't like this game really at all. Maybe Jalen Suggs. I think he could be a possible option. Shooting guard eligible. But other than that, that game, even with a shorthanded Clippers team, I think could be a blowout. The Magic are just that bad. Then we move on to the Kings and Hawks on this game. Terrence Davis is out, and De'Aaron Fox is still questionable. If Fox is out, I would go back to Halliburton even after getting burnt. And that would basically be it for the Kings side. It's hard looking at those scores from yesterday and feeling comfortable going back to any of them. But Halliburton is one that, that's, you look at his games, that was the worst game he's had in a while. Other than that, he's going to should score a ton, especially with those guys out. Then you go to Atlanta's side. This could be a good size spread, so possibly Trae Young. 2 kind of underwhelming games for him the past 2 games, but other than that, he's always great, so I would consider him. And with Capella and Collins both healthy, I wouldn't want either of them. And where's he at? Let's see, Herder at 4,700. No. Gallinari, Hunter is questionable. Let's see. He went through shoot arounds and is a game time decision. Hunter at 5,500, kind of like. Not super comfortable on him. Then we go on to the Knicks and the Heat. For this game, I don't like Randall or Bam. Them two going against each other, I don't think will be good for either offensively. But the two I really like are Butler and Barrett. Butler, always a great play, 8,500. I always think there's so many games that he plays, I feel like he should be priced more. But then obviously there are a few of those kind of underwhelming games like you see in the 30s, and it's like, okay, maybe that's why he's priced at that. Barrett has been kind of playing on a different level lately than he was. I mean, you go back to earlier in the season, he's scoring in the 20s and teens. Now you got him with a 40, 59, 30, 25, but then a 44, 39, 44. And I think that's his past 7 games, I believe. So yeah, Barrett and Butler even going against each other, I think are good options, or somewhat going against each other. One small forward, power forward for Butler, and point guard, small forward for Barrett. So maybe they're on, maybe they're not on each other when it comes to Garden. And then Hero's back, Lowry is out. Hero is a possible option at 6,600. That price came down from when he last played on the 17th, almost by a complete 1,000. He came down 900 points, so I think he's a possible option. Then we go on to the Nuggets and Nets for this game. I would like to say I like some of the value on Brooklyn, but after last night, no one did anything besides Harden. Everyone kind of scored in the teens, if not just got into the 20s. So Harden is a clear play, I want to say, but at the same time, so is Jokic. But it's really hard to play both of them, because when you do, you only have 4,300 left. Now, if somehow you can find value to get that right, then you can do it. But I mean, basically, the rest of your lineup is almost going to come out kind of crappy, because there just isn't that deep of value. Like, there's value, but I wouldn't say that deep when I look at some of these other games. So yeah, I mean, I think you got to pick and choose one or the other, but I think you should pick at least one. Me, I would probably lean more Harden than Jokic, just because Jokic has a little help, meanwhile Harden does not. Then, other than that, look at the starting lineup, and I think Brooklyn might have one or two guys in there, either Patty Mills or Cam Thomas. Those are the two I usually prefer. Both last night were not good in any way, like I said, but those are usually the two I would lean more towards. And then for Denver, like I said, I like Jokic. Aaron Gordon I always like, but he can be kind of back and forth. But he is an okay option. And then Jeff Green at 4,400. Jeff Green last night was solid, 26 points for a $4,400 guy. I think you can go to him, and he's a good salary saver. Then we move on to Toronto and Chicago for this game. Love Pascal Siakam if Fred VanVleet is out. Right now he's still questionable, but like last night, if he's out, then Siakam is a great play at 8,900. He scored 55 points last night, and the price stayed the same. So I think he's a great play. And at 8,900, you can definitely get more guys in there, even if you play Harden or Jokic with him. Then for the rest of this team, I like Gary Trent Jr. at 5,000 if VanVleet is out. He's going to shoot the ball a ton. He had 21 attempts last night. Or even OG Anunoby. Shooting the ball. But, I mean, he's going to get you the rebounds. And he does a little bit throughout the rest of the game as well. Assist, a couple assists, a block, 2 steals. But he does score well on most nights. And then with less help, with VanVleet possibly being out, I think he's a good play too. So Anunoby, Trent Jr., and Siakam are the 3. Then you go to Chicago. For Chicago, I like Ayo Dosunmu as a possible option. Very wishy-washy, but I mean, he's playing 40 minutes at 6,300. I think he is a solid option. But then you got Levine and DeRozan and Vooch. Vooch is probable. If there's one of the 3 I would pick, it would be DeRozan over Levine and Vucevic. I just think he does more all around. Then you move on to Memphis and the San Antonio Spurs. On Memphis' side, going against San Antonio, I think Ja is one of those top guys that I really like. Prices definitely came up on him. 9,600. So he's increasingly going up over some time. But Ja against San Antonio should be a really good option. The Spurs last night, how did Murray turn out? Murray turned out decent, 47 points. And the price has come down a couple hundred on him. So I think you could possibly go to him. I would lean Ja over DeJounte. Derek White after last night. I mean, he's one there's no way I could feel comfortable going back to. And then we got Brooks out. Bane is questionable. If Bane is in, I could see going to Bane at 6,400. I think he's a decent option. Bane is out. I think not Conchar. Let's see, Jaren Jackson. Yeah, I mean, it's probably Ja on Memphis' side, and on San Antonio, it would be Pirtle or Murray. I think Pirtle going against Jaren Jackson I think that's solid. I think he'll be okay. Yeah, so those would be the two on Memphis would be Ja, and if Bane is in, and the two on San Antonio would be Pirtle and Murray. Then we go to Phoenix and Utah. This is probably my favorite game to target, and I feel pretty certain they just played. Yeah, they just played, and I mean, big game from Chris Paul, big game from Devin Booker. Chris Paul probably going to be one of my favorites on here again. I think his price came up 400. Before that, it came up about 1,000. So yeah, Chris Paul probably my favorite in this game. But then we also go to center, and when you look at center, see how to Whiteside. Whiteside underperformed, but Biyombo played really well the other night. 37 points, and at 5,500, I think he's a great option. And then who was the other one? I think it was Cam Johnson, 4,300 bucks, 35 points the other night. Let's look at Cam Johnson real quick. Yeah, 38 minutes, 7 for 12, 5 for 8 on threes. Did a little rebounding, 3 steals. I think he's another good option. 4,300 price came up a little bit, but solid option. Then we have Utah's side. So on Utah's side, Mitchell's out, and that's it. Oh, Gobert's out. Okay, so Whiteside, you could try to go back to Whiteside. Should do better, but who knows? I mean, it's a good representation with the last game of how this could potentially turn out again. So maybe you go to Whiteside, maybe you don't. 6,600. I'd rather go to someone a little bit cheaper. And then, let's see, I believe Clarkson had a decent night. Yeah, Clarkson had 38 points last game, 9 for 20. So he had the shot attempts there. He just didn't make as much as you would hope for. So 7,400. Price came up 700, I believe that is. And then, yeah, I think Clarkson could be an okay option. We go to Dallas and Portland. This is who did Dallas played Golden State, I believe, last night. Yeah, they played Golden State. Okay, so with Dallas and Portland on this game, I think you can go to McCollum. He was underwhelming yesterday. Price came down a couple hundred, but I think he is a possible option. He would be going up against probably Luka or Brunson, but I mean, I think McCollum being the premier scorer on that team, I think he is a solid option. 7,300. Luka, bad game last game. He's kind of been on and off. 72, 49, 72, 40. So maybe this is an on-game for him. At 11-1, I'd rather Harden or Jokic going up top than go to Luka. But he is, as always, Luka is always a considerable option. And we go down lower, and we look at some of the forward positions. You got Little at 4,900. I mean, he's probably going to score somewhere in the 30s, I would assume. He gets the shot attempts, but he gets rebounds too. I mean, anyone that does kind of everything is always anyone that kind of does everything is always a good option. So I think Nasir Little is a possible option, and then we go to Covington. Let's see if Covington played yesterday. Yeah, he wasn't great. So Little McCollum on Portland's side, and then Luka on Dallas's side. And let me check out Porzingis. Porzingis was not great there. Kleba not great either. And let's check out Nurkic. So Nurkic would be going up against Porzingis, or probably going up against Kleba, because Porzingis would probably go up against Covington. See, I think Nurkic could bully Kleba in the paint, so I would consider Nurkic as well. So you got Luka, Nurkic, McCollum, and Nasir Little as all 4 possible options in that last game. So some good options in there. So overall, the value basically is going to come from the Pacers, the Nets, possibly depending on the starting lineup. Toronto has some somewhat value options. Gary Trent Jr. is 5,000, so he's somewhat value. Usually, I think value is in the 4,000s or 3,000s. Not San Antonio. Phoenix, like I said, has a couple of value options. Cam Johnson, Biyombo, who's just outside of what I think of as value. I mean, there's literally no centers there for them. It's Smith or Biyombo. Biyombo, obviously, the better option. And then, yeah, so I think this might be more of a balanced build for tonight compared to Stars and Scrubs, just based off of what I am seeing. But yeah, so here's one of the options I like going this route. If let's start with the easy one. I'm gonna go Harden for point guard. Then we go to Miami. Get Hero in there. Go to Sacramento. You get Halliburton in there. Go to Indy. Let's try. Let's take Hero out. Let's go with Chicago. That. So Phoenix, we go with Biyombo. Then Little. So right now I've got Harden, Little, Biyombo, and Halliburton in. Those are 4 that you could possibly start with. Have 5,100 per player left. If you kind of play around with it little, you would have Orlando. You go to Jalen Suggs at 5,800. Drops you down a little bit, but then you can go to someone really cheap, like where's he at? Brooklyn, Denver. You go Jeff Green at 4,400. Jumps you back up again a little bit. And you would have Harden, Suggs, Little, Green, Biyombo, Halliburton, and you'd have 2 more spots to fill. And for those, you could try to go with let's try this. Shooting guard. Go Gary Trent Jr. at 5,000. That utility spot. Then you got your forward spot left. Let's see what we can squeeze in there. It's got 5,400. So depending on the starting lineup, Justin Holiday I think would be a possible option. Bad game last game, but I mean all of them played bad last game. Could try to go back to Patty Mills, which is, like I said, I mean that whole team is kind of hard to go back to because no one did anything besides Harden. And then could try to go to Lamb, 4,400. I think Lamb or Holiday are essentially the same player. Oh, there we go, right there. Cam Johnson. So that's a possible option. Harden, Suggs, Little, Green, Biyombo, Halliburton, Cam Johnson, and Gary Trent Jr. So that's one way you can go about it. You could also kind of go a little riskier route and take Harden, and not play Harden or Jokic, and you could stack some of that Phoenix and Utah game, and that's another route you could go. Getting Chris Paul, Cam Johnson, Jordan Clarkson, Whiteside, and Biyombo all in there. Have 5 players in there like I attempted at doing last night, and then decided to back out when that Fox News came out. So yeah, I mean those are 2 possible routes you could go with building lineups for tonight.